Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now we're looking at a different topic on physiotherapy, looking at the impact of physiotherapy to healthy living and wellness. And we know that physiotherapy goes beyond treating injuries. It plays a vital role in preventing illnesses, promoting mobility, and the likes. But we have a guest with us in the studio this morning to do justice to that discussion. Her name is Dr. Chioma Onuchukwu. She's the Deputy Director of Physiotherapy Service, ESU Teaching Hospital, Enugu. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. So first of all, many people still see physiotherapy as treatment for injuries or, after surgery type of thing. I'd like you to throw more light. How would you define physiotherapy in relation to, aside from treating injuries, but overall healthy living and wellness?
Okay. Physiotherapy is, in the short form, is movement science, right? Because what physiotherapy does is that it tries to focus on human function and mobility and movement, okay? And it covers the spheres of health promotion, health prevention, treatment intervention, habilitation and rehabilitation services. And we use a lot of physical modalities like physical agents, heat, water. We use manual therapy, we use exercises a lot. So for a physiotherapist, your best tools are your hands, because basically what you're doing is promoting exercise and healthy living. And yes, oftentimes people tend to think that physiotherapy is just to prevent injuries and, treat post-surgical complications. Yeah. But I would say that would be as a result of, not a lot of awareness. I mean, some people even think that physiotherapists are masseurs. And so they tell you, once you say I'm a physiotherapist, they say, oh, I need a massage, my back is hurting. So I want you to help me. So I think that it's just maybe that there's not a lot of awareness as to what physiotherapists do. But just like every specialty in healthcare, physiotherapy covers different specialties. And within the specialties, you have the prevention, the promotion, the intervention, and then the rehabilitation phases of treatment of injuries.
All right. Now we know that today is International Day of Physiotherapy. What's the significance? What does that, entail?
Okay, it's a World Physical Therapy Day. It's usually celebrated on the 8th of September. So it's a day that we make noise as physiotherapists. Like we want to shout it from the rooftops. We want to tell everybody, oh, we're here, just in case you've forgotten us. Tell people what we do. And then, but beyond telling people what we do, we have a theme usually every year to help promote health in the general public. So for this year, the theme is healthy aging and preventing falls and frailty. Okay. And it's apt because oftentimes we tend to talk about healthy living, and nobody really pays attention to healthy aging. But you really can't age well if you don't live well. So when we talk about healthy aging, we're talking about preventing physiologic decline in the elderly. We're talking about promoting healthy living. We're trying to tell them that you don't have to stop because you're getting old. Because oftentimes you see people and they're saying, oh, I'm too old, I can't even do this anymore.
Yeah.
I used to love to garden, but I can't even go to my farm anymore, But this year's theme is very apt because we see a rise in the world's aging population. And even as at now, it's projected that by 2020, there'll be about 2.1 billion people older than 60 years within the next 30 years by 2050. And about 462 or 426 million people over 80. And so that's like a lot of people within that age bracket. And so you need to promote independence in these persons. So we're trying to say, if you don't age healthily, there'll be a lot of old people that are dependent. And then, you may not even be able to match the care that they need. So that's the whole idea of healthy aging. And what does it entail? It entails falls prevention. It entails promoting physical activity. It entails promoting appropriate nutrition and let's say cognitive mindfulness. The fact that you're old doesn't mean that your mind has to shut down. You have to be open to learning and relearning and unlearning, as the case may be. So that's what this theme is about.
All right. Now, when you were talking about the theme, you said for you to age healthily, you have to live healthily. So, and I understand that has to start from when you're young.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So that you can, when you get old, you can still be able to do things and stuff. So that leads me to talk about the issue of sedentary lifestyle. Now, a lot of people are just, they are not active, they don't do stuff, and it's on the rise. And this causes a lot of health problems that are also on the rise. So what would you say are the preventive strategies that people with sedentary lifestyles or people in sedentary work environments can look more into and just help them to not to have complications in the future due to the lifestyle that they live now?
Okay, that's an apt question. But before I get to that, I'd like to say that yes, you have to start young, but we say it's never too late to start. So for those who didn't start young, I won't feel like they are past the youthful age. You can always start. It's never too late to start. But yes, it's good to start young. There's something we call the life course approach, and so the life course approach takes physical activity from the very young persons to young adulthood to midlife in preparation for aging. So basically what it's trying to say is that at every age, physical activity is important. Starting from young children, we see a society where children are now locked inside. They're not allowed to play. Even in school, maybe some schools, they're bougie, they have just their phones and their iPads. So children don't get enough activities anymore. Instead, they get a lot of screen time and they become sedentary. So that's why we're creating this awareness that it is necessary that we go back to the time when children used to play with their neighbors, they used to play in school, they got a lot of physical activity, because you're seeing a lot of obesity on the rise in young children, in young adults, and even in midlife individuals. Okay, so when you create a habit of exercising for children, or for them to just even be physically active, it starts from there, right? And then when you get to young adults, you encourage them to get active in sports, get involved in, maybe you're in college, get involved in physical activity, go to the gym, work out, exercise, do everything but sit still, okay? Because that will help to take you through that course where from a young age, you're exercising all through your midlife. You sit less, take walks more. I mean, right now, most of us ride in cars, so we barely even walk. And it's easier to say, oh, people don't walk. But I mean, I think we're all guilty of not getting a lot of exercise. So we need to make a conscious effort to be more physically active. And then beyond just being physically active, to do the appropriate things, because now that's another thing. Now you have a lot of proliferation of gym centers, of different groups promoting physical activity. But sometimes you find that people heading these things are not appropriately qualified, without me, trying to be, look down. They're not appropriately qualified. So you may be physically active, but you may be doing the wrong thing. You may actually be causing yourself more injury, more harm, So it's to be sure that whatever you're doing what you should be doing, and you're doing it right, okay? So we encourage people to sit less, move more, like even if your job, even if you're a secretary.
Because I was coming to that. So what about people that work in environments?
So usually what we encourage is, there's something we call Pomodoro breaks. Pomodoro is, I think, is a Spanish word for tomatoes. So like it's a tomato break. Like take 15 to 30 minutes break after every 2 hours. So even if I'm working at my desk, I can stand up and then walk around, pace in my office while I'm doing my work, as opposed to sitting down, all the time to do my work. So yes, we know that some people have to sit for long periods, but it's also about structure, because now the recommendation is that you get 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity exercise within a week, or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise within a week. So now you also have to factor your work schedule into the exercise requirement to say, okay, even though I'm taking like 30 minutes break of pacing around in my office, standing, not sitting, walking around, I'm going to be a bit more intentional about getting in physical activity into my daily routine. So I'm going to get 10 minutes here, I'm going to get 15 minutes here, I'm going to get 20 minutes here, But then sometimes also, we can easily get to the side of, excusing certain things. So I can say, I'm going to accumulate the 150 minutes by doing 5 minutes each day. No, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. So at least a stretch of 10 minutes. At every point you must do at least 10 minutes of exercising. Then if you can, 30 minutes at once. If you can do more, but at least getting the recommended weekly dose of exercise or physical activity.
All right. So I would like to know, at what point do you think a person should seek medical attention when the person faces, challenges like pain, at what point should we seek a physiotherapist?
Okay, pain is a very disabling symptom, but like it or not, it's a very protective symptom mechanism for the body, because pain tells you that something is wrong. Okay. Now, someone I know used to say that we're never completely without pain, which, if you look at it, it makes sense, because maybe you want to sit and then you feel an ache, maybe you didn't sit properly. But if pain is unbearable, because whenever we feel pain, we know, okay, this is not what I usually feel.
Yeah.
It's encouraged to seek health opinion, a health opinion. And in Nigeria, physiotherapy is still like a secondary care profession, even though we still get patients who come to us on a first contact basis. But elsewhere in the developed countries, it's mostly first contact, because it's assumed that you have the requisite skills to screen the patient for referral, to see whether this patient falls within your purview or whether this is a patient that you should refer out. So when the patient comes and you screen and you say, okay, this is not my patient, I'm going to refer out, then I refer out. But here, it's still secondary care practice. So you go through the physician, and the physician refers you to us. So usually when someone has pain, we'll say, go see the physician, and most times they'll send to us if it's pain that falls within the purview of physiotherapists to manage, because sometimes you can have pain from other systems, and it's not something that you can handle with physiotherapy. Yeah, but that said, I want us to also know that when it comes to aging, it's not just pain, it's frailty. And frailty is important because we think that it's a normal process of aging, that as you're getting old, you get frail. No, it's not a normal process of aging. It's actually a sign that you were not doing what you should do. You were not living well.
Yeah.
So that's why you see two 50-year-olds and they don't age the same, because
That's
of
true.
lifestyle choices. Okay, so one who is actively making a choice to sleep better, to be stress-free, to be well, to exercise is not the same as someone who has lived a sedentary life, doesn't care about what they eat, just eats about anything. And that's where you talk about health and wellness. Because health is passive, wellness is active. Health is just the absence of a disease process. So I can be well, but I can be healthy, but I'm not well.
Okay.
Because with wellness, I have to choose to live well. It's an ongoing process. So I'm going to pay attention to my sleep. I'm going to pay attention to my rest, to my diet, to my physical activity level, to socializing, to improving my mind. So wellness is a broad spectrum, but oftentimes we use that interchangeably, but they're not the same thing.
All right, now just quickly, because we are running out of time.
Okay.
Physical health, you mentioned, aside from just the body, your mind as well. Now, mental health and physical health, like you said, they are closely linked. Now, how does physiotherapy directly or indirectly support mental well-being, aside from just physical exercise and being active?
Okay, physiotherapy, it's documented really that exercise improves cognition, improves mental well-being, improves your mood, elevates your mood. Because when you exercise, you cause the release of some endogenous hormones. With physical therapy, some physical therapy procedures, you can cause the release of some opiates in the body that help to take care of pain, help to boost your mood. So when someone that was in pain is no more in pain, I mean, the person is in a better shape mentally. The person is not maybe constantly depressed and wondering what is wrong with me and all that. So physiotherapy will promoting physical activity and a lifestyle of exercises and modification would help to improve your mental well-being, because besides improving your mood and improving your cognition, making helping you to want to know more, want to be in a better state to study more, it helps to how do I put it? It just helps to reposition you mentally, because the truth is, if you get into that lifestyle, sometimes it can become addictive. Even it's like, oh, I feel good about myself, I want to do more, I want to get out more. It gives you the confidence. People want to socialize more. You see some people that say, oh, I don't want to take a picture because I think I look too fat in this picture, or I don't think I'm what I used to be. I've lost weight, So it translates to a lot of mental health changes for these patients.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What are the major medications apart from, that some people might not be able to afford physiotherapy? Are there some treatments or medications that one can take? And what measures are you taking, the physiotherapy unit taking to, make sure that people don't get addicted to these medications?
Okay, usually we don't prescribe medications to patients like that. I'm not going to say, okay, take this or take that, even if it lies within my expertise, because no two patients are the same. Before you can give anything to any patient, you have to examine the patient. But what we do in physiotherapy is usually when you come, especially maybe when you come to us with pain, we tell you what we're trying to do is to bring you to a level where you're not dependent on the pain medications, for instance, because every medication is a potential toxin.
Yeah.
So if you don't take it in the appropriate dose, you can overdose on those medications. So physiotherapy tries to wean you off those medications. Of course, with the it's a multidisciplinary team, so you're not going to suddenly tell someone who is hypertensive to stop taking your antihypertensives. You're not going to do that. It's unprofessional. You know that if someone is on high dose of pain medications, for instance, with physiotherapy, you can actually calm down on them. You know, because sometimes the pains are from muscle imbalance, from postural problems that you can just correct and the patient feels good. You know, so you don't just tell the patient, oh, take this or don't take this, but you have to look at the patient in front of you, and we try to create that awareness. And there's something we call home exercise program. So we give that to the patient as well. So even when you can't afford to continue coming every time, when you come, we look at you, we prescribe for you, we give you home exercise programs to take on with you.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Chioma Onuchukwu. Very lovely, interesting conversation. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And yes, we have come to the end of our conversation and the end of Signature Morning this morning. If you made it to this stage, thank you so much for joining us, and see you tomorrow. I am Lilian Wali.
And I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Enjoy the rest of your day.